Hello and welcome to Mission 5, Lesson 11, where our objective today is to explain fraction equivalence using a tape diagram and the number line and relate that to the use of multiplication and division. Wow, it sounds like there's a lot going on today on that. But it's easier than it sounds with that long drawn out sentence here. So we're going to take a look at the last part of the Tower of Power today and a number line for fractions and what we're really asking for here. So let's take a look and go over example together. Okay, this is the last part of the Tower of Power for today's lesson. Now, notice what it wants us to do is it says what fraction is equivalent to 2/5. Now, we have been using area models, but today we're going to transition into using a number line instead of an area model to represent our fractions. So you can see here I have a number line, and I have it divided up into fifths because we're dealing in 2/5. So there's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. Now, when you're making your number line, there's a couple important factors to remember. You always have to start, and for today, you'll start with 0. All right. Don't make the mistake of making your first dash here the 1, like 1/5, because that's going to mess you up. Has to be 0, and that's 0/5, which is equal to 0. And then when you end it, it should end, and for today, it's going to end at 1 whole or 5/5. Okay. So what you don't want to do, and a lot of people make this mistake, they start here at 1/5 and they don't put a 0. Or they'll put 5/5. They'll put like one line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 whole. No, 1 whole is equivalent to 5/5. Okay. Or whatever your fraction is. When the numerator and denominator are the same, that is equal to 1 whole. So make sure you start at 0 and end at 1 whole where your numerator and denominator are the same. Okay. It wants me to decompose 2/5 into 4 equal parts. So this can be a little tricky. What it really wants us to do is, here's 2/5, which already has that dot. It wants us between 0 and 2/5. How many equal parts are there right now? There's 1, 2. What it wants us to be, instead of 2 equal parts, it wants us there to be 4 equal parts. So I'm going to add these little marks here. Okay, I'm going to add one and see how many I have. Okay, see, I just decomposed it. Now let's see how many pieces I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now between 0 and 2/5, I just decomposed it into 4 equal parts. So a common mistake people make here, and I made the mistake earlier too when I tried it, was like just between each one, I tried to put four spaces, but no. It wants you between 0 and 2/5, or whatever your fraction is, to divide it into that part. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Okay. And then it wants me to write a multiplication sentence to show what fraction represented on the number line is equivalent to 2/5. Okay. So what I'm going to look at here is it has 2/5. It says 2/5 equals 2 times 2/5 again. And what do we have to multiply it by? Again. So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, what fraction did I just make? Okay. So I have to look and say, well, in each piece now, so I'm considering like this a piece, this a piece, this a piece, this piece, that piece. In our original pieces, how many pieces did we divide the big pieces up into? How many did we decompose it? Well, remember, this was our, like, let's take a look. This was between 1/5 and 2/5. That was one piece originally. But now we split it in two. So between each of the bigger marks, we split it in two pieces. So that's going to tell me I'm going to multiply times 2 for each of those. All right? Because again, there's a piece, there's a piece. So I multiplied times 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. Good work. Thank you. Okay. Now show equivalent fractions using division. So now it just wants me to do it in reverse. So now I'm starting off with 4/10, and I want to get back down to 2/5. So we just flip it. So now we're starting with 4/10. So I'm just going to rewrite 4/10 again. But what are we dividing by? Well, what did we multiply by before? We multiplied by 2, and now we're just reversing it. So it's going to be the same thing. If we multiply by 2 there, now we flip it, and we're going to divide by 2. Not 21, 2. 2. Okay. And so 4 divided by 2, is that equal to? Yep. Does 10 divided by 2 equal 5? Yep. So that's how I can check myself to know, okay, I'm doing this right. Good work. Thank you. Thank you, Zorn. I appreciate that. Hey, and there we go. That's it. So today you're going to be focused on using the number line, right? You're going to use a number line instead of an area model to break and decompose fractions down to find equivalent fractions. As always, if you have questions, ask your teacher, and I'm sure they would be more than happy to assist you. Okay, good luck today on Math Adventure Time. Go get them. Goodbye.